Okay, so the proximal humerus attaches to or it articulates with the glenoid fossa of the scapula. The head of the humerus, it's that ball and socket joint made a little bit deeper by the glenoid labrum. It's definitely more mobile and less stable than the hip joint, our other major ball and socket joint. So, at the proximal end of the humerus, we have the head of the humerus, which is nearly a full sphere. And it's so lots, if you think of it, full sphere, lots of mobility. So on the just lateral to the head of the humerus, we have the lesser and greater tubercles. So the lesser tubercle is more medial, the greater tubercle is more lateral. And in between the two, we have the intertubercular groove. It's also known as the bicipital groove because the long head of the biceps tendon runs up through that groove. So just like always, when we have a big bony projection, it's muscle attachments. So lots of muscles attach to the lesser tubercle and the greater tubercle, and we will talk about them in the muscle section. So when the head of the humerus rotates in the glenoid fossa, you can see the relationship changes between the tubercles. So when we internally or medially rotate, the tubercles go medially. When we externally or laterally rotate, the tubercles go laterally. And you can palpate them just like we did with the greater trochanter, where we medially and laterally rotated the hip to find the greater trochanter. You can do the same thing at the humerus, at the shoulder glenohumeral joint, to find the greater and lesser tubercles. And depending on the muscle bulk, there are people that have really big, beefy deltoids. It's harder to palpate those guys, but they are palpable and pretty easily palpable on most people. So right here we have the deltoid tuberosity, and that is where all three heads of the deltoids attach. The deltoid is like an upside down triangle. It attaches all along the acromion and spine of the scapula, anterior, medial, and posterior heads of it, and all of them join together into a little point that attaches onto the deltoid tubercle. Again, that's palpable on some people, but not the easiest palpation in the whole wide world. On the posterior side of the humerus, we have this groove. It's called the radial groove. The radial nerve runs in that groove. It helps define the distal attachment for the lateral and medial heads of the triceps as well. So we will talk about the distal humerus right now, even though that is in the elbow chapter.